how did people come to your website? And they're like, oh, well, they typed my company name, my law firm name. I'm like, branding, that's, it's that, I'm like, you're already doing it, whether you know it or not.
All right. So welcome to the You Are a Lawyer podcast. Eric Morgan, how are you?
I'm doing fantastic. How are you doing?
I am doing very, very well. It's always good to talk about marketing and advertising and communications, okay? Because communication is what lawyers are all about, right?
Right.
So, Eric, you are a special guest because you actually are not a law school graduate, but you work with lawyers. Why would you choose to do that?
Yeah, it's interesting. When I went to college and graduate school, it wasn't really, on my radar, going through advertising, marketing programs. We always envisioned working with Microsoft or Nike or, those kind of caliber clients, the big national global brands. But the reality is, as I stumbled into it, probably 15, 20 years ago, worked at a couple of agencies, have my own agency now for 27 years. But we stumbled into it with a big law firm here based in New Orleans along the Gulf Coast. And we realized that we get it. We understand it. We're I don't want to brag, but we are good at it. We know how to make phones ring for most of the work is personal injury. And we like it, the analytics side, the creative side, it's just right up our alley. So it's refreshing to be able to have not only marketing conversations, but almost business conversations with law firms and lawyers that want to grow their firm. And it's well beyond advertising speak, and it's, business strategy and so forth. So it just was exciting to us. And when we see a firm grow from two attorneys to 40, and they're like, oh, 18 months, we had 400% growth. It's like, wow, we are actually helping people, lawyers, grow their practice, improve their practice for the benefit of their clients. But also at the end of the day, we're helping them put, food on their table and they thrive and so forth. So there's a lot of value and benefits that we get out of it.
Yeah, of course. Because as a business owner, right, you have other people that you're supporting. You have employees, you have staff, you have all that. And law firms do as well, right? And one of the things that I always talk about on the show is that lawyers can be good business people, but law school doesn't teach you to run a business. And so that's where a lot of lawyers fall off for marketing and advertising, because they're just like, I'm not supposed to promote my services, but I'm supposed to be a zealous advocate. So that's where you step in and you're like, I'll take care of that part. I'll let everybody know about you.
Yeah, yes, it's true. And it's not just the legal industry, honestly. I got a degree in advertising, and they don't teach you how to run an ad agency. They teach you how to run advertising campaigns, which is why I went back to school and got some business degree. But it's refreshing because we were able to talk to our clients and say, well, this is what's going on with other law firms, and this is how they're handling this or what they're seeing in their market. And while there is a level of confidentiality, we're not disclosing a whole lot, there is also a level of experience sharing. And so when you talk about, business owners, they want to be in the room with like-minded people so that they can learn and grow and be inspired. And so I think there's an element of that. And, we were talking yesterday with somebody out west. We're based in New Orleans, just for your listeners, but out west, it's like, what's going on in these markets? How did February look in your other markets with the other clients? And so we can share that within reason. And I think that's rewarding. And then we talk about, cost per case. We talk about what kind of cases are they accepting, and are they asking for high cases, and what's the net value of a case? And if we can get just a normal case in the door for $7,500, but the cost per case is $1,500, you're netting out at $6,000. And does that make good business sense? This is not advertising clicks and reach and frequency conversations. It's that, because then if we get to that point of what makes good business sense, and we can build that model and it works, then it's just a matter of how much do we want to turn that faucet on at $6,000, net, you're netting out per case. So, it's great. It's exciting because as a business owner, I like to have those similar conversations with like-minded and somewhat, similar businesses and industries. So I get it. I'm I'm wearing the shoes just like they are.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm glad you brought that up because you do work with law firms. You worked with Morris Bart, Frank Azar, and I famously know Morris Bart because one of my law school professors went to school with him, and she talks about how he brags about, you can graduate with a C and you can still be a multi-millionaire if you know what you're doing, right? But then you also work with companies like Harris Casino and the Louisiana Office of Tourism. What is it that you do that is able to promote all these different brands in vastly different industries?
So we do have a couple of categories that we're pretty deep in, legal being one of them, healthcare, tourism, restaurants, and healthcare. And those are kind of predominantly our main ones. And, to be completely honest, there is a level of uniqueness in the legal marketing space when it comes to certain things, creative, the media buying, and so forth. And that's like completely unique, very different. And we've kind of learned it and figured it out a long, long time ago. But when you step back or even go to step one, step two, there's some fundamentals that are just common. And for us, it's working around a strategy and it's working around brand and position. And, I know I say the word brand, and most attorneys, lawyers that are in the marketing world don't want to hear anything about brand. They're like, I just want my phone to ring and I want more cases. And my position is, how do you think they called you? Why do you think they called you? Because there's a level of familiarity with your brand. That's what branding is, because you're out there, you're sponsoring this event, you're underwriting that, you're advertising here, you got a billboard, you're wrapping a bus, whatever it is. They're familiar with their brand. Whether you like it or not, whether you admit it or not, you are doing branding. And that's why, because they feel comfortable. That kind of philosophy transcends the industry, whatever industry, across the board. And it's still the same. Strategy is about defining an opportunity or purpose reasoning on going to market. Like, I'm going to start marketing and this is what I stand for. And this is who I want to communicate with. Strategy is not, let's go spend more money on Facebook. But strategy is, this is why I have value and this is why people should listen to it and why I can help my ultimate client with legal matters. And so that kind of approach and exercise and looking at the inside of why people make decisions and what other competitors are in the market and where's there some space that our brand can own and kind of stand there and go, this is me, and have a spotlight. That, just regardless of the category, regardless of the industry, it's still and it is a very powerful exercise to go through to say, this is where we are. This is what we're going to own. We're going to own this little part of the world. And there's a group of people that it matters to, and we're going to talk to them and we're going to advertise to them and so forth. So that can be applied to legal marketing and healthcare and tourism and so forth.
Yeah, I love that. So it sounds like you have your ideal customer avatar and you make sure you talk to them, right? Mm-hmm. You're not trying to get somebody who's like, no, I don't believe in a brand. Well, what we have to say could probably work for you, but I'm not going to try to convince you because I can go work with these other people who are waiting to work with me. Right. Yeah. And there's some fun exercises that we'll go through because we'll ask somebody to look up at, their Google Ads or Google Analytics and say, how did people come to your website? And they're like, oh, well, they typed my company name, my law firm name. I'm like, branding, it's that, I'm like, you're already doing it, whether you know it or not. And let's just embrace it and, move forward with it. Yeah, it's not like the name just randomly popped up at them. Or you think you did because you've seen it 3 times and you didn't even realize it. Like subconsciously you were paying attention to it. So
correct.
Okay, I love that. So Eric, a couple of topics that you really like to discuss are deciphering the significance of strategy, which you kind of just tapped into, the influence of branding, and expanding your law firm's reach into new markets. So outside of just getting new clients, right? Because earlier you said you would like to see a law firm grow as well, from 15 lawyers to 40. What are some other reasons why a law firm would want to reach into new markets?
It's a couple of things, honestly. I mean, some of them, we talk to attorneys, and there's a point in their life, and some of them go to law school. All of them go to law school because they want to, help people. They love the law, they appreciate the law, and they want to practice. At a certain point, though, some they might still have a diploma hanging on their wall, but they realize that they love the business side of it more. And at that point, it's really just I won't say a game, but it's like, this is my calling. This is what I want to do. I want to grow in this market, and then I want to expand because I want to have market share. It's it's like any other business. If you're a grocery store, you open up more grocery stores. So you can service more people. So it's there's a number of reasons. Some of it is defensive, meaning they want to just make sure that they lock up those markets. Some of it is just offensive, where they feel like they can do good in the world if they can represent more people. And so it's just a few things. And we hear different stories, and everybody's got a different MO. And I'll be honest, I'm at a point where I've heard enough stories where I believe there are people that are going to law school now who don't necessarily want to practice law. They just want to be in the business of law firms. I'm sure that's a very, contentious conversation when you're sitting in law school, next the person next to you, or what. But, people go to engineering school not to build bridges, but they want to run an engineering firm.
And that's okay, right? Law schools have to realize that's okay. The students already know that that's okay, because the company that you're going to be around, the people that you're going to network with, where else will you find them unless you're like you and you create an industry and you implement yourself into it?
Right.
Otherwise, most people need to come, you know what I mean? They need to start from the inside and then expand out.
Correct.
And that's okay. That's what this whole podcast is about. You will still have your law degree and your legal education, and now go out and do whatever you want with it.
Right.
And even if that means just being in the business of law firms, because that's okay too.
Correct.
Okay, cool. So, Eric, I was really excited to talk to you because in addition to the title CEO and marketing strategist, you call yourself a visionary leader. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah. The thing that excites me about the industry that I'm in, my career, is that it's completely changing every day. And, the company is 27 years old. I was, did a tour in some ad agencies for a few years before that. And I look back, and when I got into the business in the early 90s, obviously the internet was just coming around. And the things have changed so dramatically, and a lot of industries obviously have changed. And so it's looking forward and trying to figure out, where do we go as an agency, what kind of services we offer, what kind of skill sets do we need, how do we provide more value to our clients. And so it's constantly trying to figure out what's around the corner. How does AI work, and how we can implement that? Is that something of value? Obviously the digital world can be a wild west sometimes. So that visionary aspect is, what do we need to do to thrive and grow in the next few, years? Kind of think 3-5 year goal, and so it's looking down the road. And honestly, it gets back to the strategy conversation, even for us. Who do we want to be? What's of value, and what's a space that we can own as an agency, as a brand, so that way we allow ourselves to grow, and we get a new client base, and we offer new services so our staff can grow, and professionally they can grow, obviously through monetary means and so forth. So it's interesting. It's hard. It's, you scratch your head a lot, where's this ride taking us? But that's what makes it fun and interesting, because, you want to get up and you want to solve problems. You want to help brands grow. But the reality is we're also a brand, and we have to grow. And so we do treat ourselves like clients, and we do inbound marketing and content and put it out there. So that way we can share the word of what we're preaching to people. And hopefully, we provide value to somebody. Definitely, hopefully they hire us, so that way we can help them for long campaigns. And we have clients that have been with us for, you mentioned Morse Part. We're in our 14th year with Morse Part. So that's exciting. We've got, healthcare clients that have been with us for probably equally as long.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. Very cool. So we've been talking about your company. We haven't said it. You're managing Rue Advertising, which is
Yes.
ROUX for everyone
ROU.
who's like, wait, what?
Yes. Yes. And you went to law school down here. So hopefully that brings some memories. Rue, ROUX. But, Rue is a basis of some dishes in Louisiana, Cajun Creole cooking processes. And so, the running joke is you always start with a roux. And so it's somewhat fitting, from a game plan, from a strategy, start here, start there, in order to make the bigger dish. So we thought it was, local, and nobody on the West Coast gets it, but that's okay. That's okay. As long as we're making their phone ring, that's good. Yes.
Yeah, and plus it's part of your branding. So it'll be like, what's that company with the weird name? Oh, the Louisiana one. Right.
Yes.
So it works. Yeah, the roux is the foundation for like gumbos and jambalayas and all of that stuff. So it makes sense. Yeah. So you keep talking about the West Coast. So it sounds like you are a national or nationwide brand. You don't only service companies and businesses in Louisiana. Is that correct?
Correct. Yeah, we're based in New Orleans. Some of our clients are, in other categories, are in Louisiana. Some are beyond. Our law firm clients are, Louisiana, Alabama, Mississippi. We've got Carolinas and Georgia and Indiana, Texas. We've done Colorado, Idaho, West Coast. Yeah.
Okay, very cool. And are you accepting clients right now? Is that why you decided to come on the show? Are you looking for more, or did you just want to share the branding of advertising?
So, two-part answer. The truth is, yes, we're always looking for clients. We always love, bringing somebody aboard, helping them, watching it grow, providing, just at a minimum, a shoulder to lean on, but providing guidance and direction and sharing what we know and so forth. But the other part of that answer is that I love talking about this stuff. I love getting up in the morning and tackling the day. And I tell everybody, call me. I go to conferences, I'm walking around, people, want to pick my brain. I'm like, call me anytime. I'll talk all day long. So it's part that as well, because I believe in karma. I believe that, spreading the word helps somebody out, that, something good's going to come my way down the road.
Yeah. Okay, very cool. Well, I'm definitely going to call you.
No, please do. Absolutely. Pick my brain.
Because I've started launching podcasts for people, and I thought it was going to be lawyers, and it's turning into dermatologists and eye doctors. And I'm like, that might just be my little niche. I might just be doing medical.
That actually is fantastic. And, it's interesting because when we started this company in 97, we thought that we were going to be working with clients direct, but the first year and a half, 2 years was other ad agents saying, "Oh man, you guys y'all are available. Can you come help?" And we were working projects and overflow work for other ad agencies. So it's not always what you think it's going to be. Now it did over time. In the first 2 years, it did course correct. And here we are. We don't really do a lot of work with other agencies, although we're partner on some projects, but not as much in the legal world. But yeah, that's fantastic if you're helping them and you're giving them a platform and a voice so that they can talk about, their particular services to their clients and educate their clients and provide value. More power to you.
Yeah. So, Eric, my last question to you, and it's kind of a question for me and for the audience. So it sounds like you could have a pick of clients in all industries, and you've kind of focused in, which I call like paying attention to your 20% and kind of ignoring the 80%. What would you say to the audience about why you should specialize, why you should decide we're going to do this advertising, why we were going to course correct and get out of agencies and only, you know what I mean? Why not just do it all? Do you have any advice about that?
Yeah. So, great advice. So my background in the ad agency world is the media planning and buying. So whenever you see an ad out there, it's somebody like me that put it out there. I don't do as much of it anymore, but that was my upbringing, and I'm numbers oriented. I love the stats class and pivot tables and spreadsheets and all that fun stuff. But as the agency world developed, I've always wanted to be a specialist and not a generalist, meaning I don't want to be, chasing, from an agency perspective and a business perspective, I don't want to be chasing, banks and car dealerships and restaurants or we do restaurants, but limousine services or something like that. Nothing against them. Look, if a bank walked into my front door and said, we've got a, Chase Bank or, said, here's our $500 million budget. Will you handle it? I'm like, yes, please. But we're not knocking on those doors. Seriously. Because I feel like being focused on very specific categories makes me a better value to those categories because I'm not distracted. Now we have a laundry list of clients in each of those 3 or 4 categories that we're deep in, but I'm able to bring unique experience and share that value with those clients and say, here's what this is going on. Here's what we see with other clients. Again, confidentially, but there's value there. And it's a level of expertise. Would you hire an electrician who yesterday was, framing a house and the day before was doing somebody's taxes? You're like, no, I want somebody who's doing it regularly and seeing it all. So that's why we specialize in a couple of categories. I don't want to be a generalist to everybody. It's there's a saying or a phrase. It's like, about everything, but you really know nothing kind of mentality. And we like it. And honestly, the legal world makes sense to us because believe it or not, even in tourism and healthcare, which are very data driven, the law firms that we work with are very rich in data and information, call logs, intake processes, obviously website activity, and they share it. And they have to. I mean, we request it. And some of them give it to us on a weekly basis. Their systems send it to us on a weekly basis. Some of them are like, and don't tell software companies this, but they're like, look, here's a user seat. Go in and pull whatever you want. And we're not pulling, anything sensitive. We're pulling. I just need to know how many phone calls, what the conversion rate is. Are they converting a healthy percentage? What kind of cases and so forth. Because that data allows us to analyze and create insights that say, oh, this is what's happening and this is why. So let's go ahead and make an adjustment here or there. So, I found an industry, legal marketing, that is open. They want to talk. They want to learn. They want to grow. They understand the value of marketing. They see what it can do, and they're willing to share the information and make it a priority. And this is fantastic.
Yeah, and I'm so grateful that you're out here providing the service because most lawyers are really busy and they wouldn't have time to dig into the data. Even though they're collecting it, they're not going to spend the time looking at it and analyzing it, right? And we typically are the ones who didn't like the stats class. That's why we decided to do law. So it's really good that you're able to be a specialist, not a generalist, and you're working with other lawyers who we consider ourselves to be specialists too. So
absolutely. Yeah. That's fantastic.
Yeah, very cool.
Love it.
All right, so Eric, will you share with everyone where they can find you, your website, or any social media accounts?
Yeah, Rue Advertising, ROUX. Go to rueadvertising.com. I'm on LinkedIn. We're on Facebook and Instagram, I believe. So you can just look us up in any of the usual social media platforms.
Sounds good. Well, thank you so much, Eric.
Thank you. Appreciate it.